turn this trailer into a tiny house. Before it goes up, must come down.
Pull your cart, little boy.
This is a lot of work, but we'll get there.
There's still more water coming out of that thing.
Anyone else gonna go to the bathroom?
You can't afford a nice door.
Oh yeah?
Cheap ass.
Oh, that's it? Really? That's what we're gonna go with that? By the way, we were gone. When we were gone, I made this. That's my face. Like I put my face on it and I drew a. This is my eyes.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's my nose. This is my nose and that's my chin.
I want to know why you're doing that. Can you explain?
I'm very tired.
Oh, well, I've survived so far. 2 months and a week of almost 24/7 with this guy.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't even think about it! Don't even dream
The walls or the project?
Oh, but the project. The moment you think about doing a tiny home,
Go buy
check
one.
yourself into a mental institution. Hello everyone and welcome to the TinyWanderland Chronicles episode 26. I'm your host Jay. Of course, who else would be taking you through this craziness? In this episode, I think we're just going to see more progress that is to become the Tiny Wanderer, which is great, to see. You watch every episode, you can see more photos and more experiences as we get further and further along. Oh, I forgot to stop my counter, but it doesn't matter. So anyway, let's jump into it. That's me back at the hotel plotting. So I think if you look to the left, that is the ProCom heater. Now, initially we bought a heater for the wrong size propane tank. I want to give a shout out to Blackburn Propane of Cedar City, Utah. They were instrumental in saving us from a very dangerous situation. If you look back in the previous episodes of the Chronicles, you'll find that we had a Mr. Buddy heater, which basically takes those 1 pound propane tanks. We were going to just mount that to the wall and then just like screw in propane tanks or run a propane line to it. But Blackburn was like, that won't work because that's a bottle fed machine and you need a line fed propane system. So this initially was going to be our ProCom, but it ended up being the wrong heater. We ended up sending it back and getting a new one. So if you've ever visited the Tiny Wanderer and you're like, why is the propane heater black when this one was white? I don't think there's any photos of the new one on the wall, but that's what's on the wall behind me now. So just to give you some clarification on that. More views of the lair. I think this was the day we were actually cleaning. There's Tyler's stepladder, the walls. I think we're just seeing kind of views of how we had things set up. Yeah, this is kind of like our junk pile, scrap pile. There's the Tiny Wanderer. The walls and ceiling are on, starting to look more like a home. You can see, yeah, we cleaned up the layer quite a bit there. This is propane going in, I believe, or we might still be cutting walls here. Just chilling out at the hotel room. What I have here is gummy fish and Cool Whip. It actually turned out to be really delicious. There's me ordering a do not tailgate sign. There's actually 2 of those on the back of the Tiny Wanderer. For the most part, people listen. Most part. That's me at Tinks Hardware. They were also instrumental, the people of Tinks, in helping us with odds and ends and pieces we couldn't get anywhere else. More work on the Tiny Wanderer. The propane tank's going on. That regulator, it's a dual regulator. Its job is to basically, when one tank runs out, automatically switch to another tank. I will tell you once again, as a lot of things we found, that was junk. I believe that came from King Flame. I would not buy another product from King Flame ever again. We returned it and got our money back, and we now have a single regulator on there, which basically, when one tank runs out, we just unscrew the regulator and screw the other one on. If people want to have the easy way out with the dual regulators, those systems just never seem to work. So, but then there's me working on it. Yes, I'm definitely installing propane. Heather always looking out for me. She bought me some Dr. Scholl's working insoles to make it easier on my feet, because I was on my feet a lot. It's interesting. I just want to point out real quick, Heather took this picture of this car, I think because she liked the trim on the bottom. It's been over a year since the Tiny Wanderer was built, being back in Cedar City working on the renovations, and I saw this vehicle at the Cal Ranch, another crazy place that we frequented, just probably 3 weeks ago. So obviously they're a Cedar City resident. Me going, why? I don't know what I was really doing. This is just an interesting. More cabinets being stained. Heather doing the staining there. Heather working on the cabinets. This part of this configuration is actually is what it is now. It's what it looks like on the wall of the Tiny Wanderer. This was the new configuration, so it could give more room for the stove. The original configuration was too close to the stove burner. Yeah, you can clearly see me putting in a microwave shelf there, me buying a keychain for Heather. This is what happens when you put spray foam on a propane heater. You have to sandblast it off. Heather initially thought it would be a good idea to lay like locking tile. And Dean, of course, convinced me in the summer of 2021, a year later, to put in a vinyl floor, which I'm looking at right now. You won't see photos of that in the Chronicles, obviously, but there's some pricing. Anybody who can find any way at all to get to Home Depot, they will. Me at the sheet metal distributor for the backsplash. There's a picture of them rolling up the sheet, and the backsplash was going to go in between those cabinets. It did, and it turned out really well. More pictures of, I believe that's Hardybacker board, which is basically flame-proof cement board. More pictures of just different things. I can't. Looks like I'm on the roof. Am I on the roof? I think I'm on the roof. Oh, I was working on the smokestack and the water heater. A lot of that. One of Heather's cute notes. Look how green that Ryobi drill was. Walls going on, electrical pieces. We were trying to get ready to go down to Drew's and Hurricane to install the solar, but we had to get to a certain point before we could do that. Hardybacker being painted, heater being installed, smokestack looks pretty good. This is the custom hookup for the septic tanks, to empty the septic tanks. Again, everything was done by hand with a Tiny Wanderer. There was nothing thrown together. Example of what you get when you buy something thrown together, you get a 50-foot monstrosity that takes up 7 or 8 parking spots. I don't know why people don't just put their house on wheels when they drive those things. But whatever, teach their own. A view of the hot tub and pool I rarely got to frequent. Every so often I did get to go there, though. Heather got to use it more than I did, but that's okay because she needed to relax. She was supposed to be on vacation. Me, I think I'm passed out in this picture. Some pizza, more passed out. I think we're getting closer and closer to, yep, there's Heather staining some more cabinets. Installing shelving. Heather did all the shelves on the Tiny Wanderer. They were all custom made by Heather. Me installing more propane, figuring things out. Rare treat. Took Heather and me to Sizzler, and it was just really good to not eat in the Tiny Wanderer in the storage unit. More work. There's the backsplash. This is, I believe, me working the midnight oil. Yep. The heater's in. Then we've got just, again, it's just a lot of the same stuff, but you can just see there's the heater going in. You can see the enormity that was involved in something like this. This was not an easy project. There's that ProCom heater. This is probably a layout of our electrical diagram. Just completely blown away. Hotel, SUV. There's the Tiny Wanderer. Oh yeah, this was painting. I wanted to make everything look nice. I initially used Rust-Oleum gloss spray paint, but after a winter in Nebraska in the Tiny Wanderland, if you actually go into those episodes, you'll see I rubber coated everything because one winter and it looked like the Tiny Wanderer was 20 years old. Spray painted the battery racks, the generator rack, and the ladder. More views of the Tiny Wanderer. There's some finishing pictures of the spray painting. Me being a goof in the window, chilling out, cutting the backsplash right here. More pieces of the, there's the don't quit, kind of our mantra at this point. There's that ProCom heater. We got it working, and then it turned out it was not the right one. We had to rip it off the wall and return it. And there's Heather working the midnight oil with me, and that's all I got for you guys on episode 26 of the Tiny Wanderland Chronicles. Feel free to follow us on social media. You can skip Twitter. No one ever goes there anywhere. Anyway, Tiny Wanderland on the Instagram. Check us out, us and our friends. Alaska with Tiny House Concierge. Rebecca with Teeny Tiny 7. Jen with, I believe it's Tiny Dreamer or Teeny Dreamer. I can't remember her full name, but lots of really cool people out there. Cupcake and Cornbread, they travel around in their tiny home. Check us all out. You can find us on Instagram, also on Facebook at Tiny Wanderland. And if we ever get 100 subscribers, you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/TinyWanderland. But for now, like and subscribe the videos if you're enjoying the ride. And I will see you guys next episode, Tiny Wanderland Chronicles, episode 27, where I think we head down to Hurricane, Utah for Drew to put in the solar. What was supposed to be a 5-hour project ended up being a 2-day project. Do not hire a 78-year-old man to install your solar, especially when he didn't do it right. Now, that's not supposed to be a slam against Drew. He's a nice person individually, but he literally hooked up the system wrong. And we'll talk more about that in episode 27. I'll see you guys next time.